Hello, welcome to Zigmatech Learning Hub. I'll be your instructor for government. For this class, we are going to be taking our exercises from the ExamGuide app. If you don't have the application already installed on your device, I want you to download the app in order to follow along in this class. ExamGuide is a leading educational app that helps students prepare adequately for various exams like UTME, post-UTME, WEAC, GCE, KCPE, IJMB, JUPEB, Calbipedia, BESE, SSCE, NCEE, NECO, etc. You can download the app from www.examguide.com or Google Play Store. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be updated on new videos. Ready for today's class? Okay, let's get started. Today, we are going to look at the structure of government again. Now, this time, we are going to concentrate on one particular arm of government, which is the judiciary. We've already discussed the executive and the legislature. Now, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to say what the judiciary is. You should be able to discuss the functions of the judiciary in your country. You should be able to discuss the concept of independence of judiciary. You should be able to also state the factors that limit serves as a constraint to the independence of the judiciary and how the independence of the judiciary can be promoted. Now, let's look at the meaning of the judiciary. Now, the judiciary is the arm of government primarily responsible for the interpretation of laws and adjudication of cases or laws in the states. Now, when we say interpretation, this is the arm of government that is responsible for applying the laws that have been made in handling cases before them. And I must tell you, when we talk about the judiciary, we are referring to the judges, the magistrate. We are referring to the court. If you want to go to the judiciary as an institution of government, you go to the court. It is in the court that you see the judiciary. And when we say interpretation of laws, it's their primary function because through them that we know the meaning of law. Now, let's look at the functions of the judiciary. Number one, interpretation of laws and the Constitution. Now, it means that they apply these laws that have been made in their rulings whenever a case is brought before them. They will apply this law, and it is in the application of these laws in their ruling that you know the meaning of that law. That you studied English language or a particular language in which the law is couched is not a guarantee that you know what the law is. It is when they apply it, however they apply it in rendering judgment, that is the meaning of that law. And they are primarily responsible for application of these laws in rulings, in any case brought before them. And that is what we call the interpretation of this law. The second one is they adjudicate cases and disputes. That is, they settle disputes or cases. It could be dispute between individuals. It could be between groups, organizations. It could be between the arms of government because at times the legislature and executive can go to court against each other. It could be between levels of government. At times you hear in a federal government, state government will sue the federal government. So they settle these disputes arising in the society. That's primarily responsible for that. Now, the judiciary is also responsible for the protection of rights of citizens. Because whenever your right is being violated as a person or even a citizen, you can go to the court for justice. So the court is the one that is responsible for rendering justice and ensuring that human rights are protected by making sure that any person that violates human rights is being punished. Of course, we talk about another function, which is punishment of offenders of the law. When you commit a crime, when you offend, when you go against any law of the state, you'll be prosecuted to the law court, and the court, the judiciary, will be the body that will pronounce judgment, punishment. The punishment can range from prison sentence, it could be death penalty, execution, it could be payment of fine, form of compensation, it could be withdrawal of some rights. So they are responsible for meting out the appropriate punishment to the offenders of law. Also, they serve as arbiters in the settlement in a federal system of government. Federal system of government, where you have levels of government, they are responsible to settle the disputes between the federal government and any other level of government, or between or among levels of government. They carry out what we call judicial review. Judicial review is when the court renders the action of any other arm of government null and void, unconstitutional, and therefore of no effect. That is, when an arm of government has taken an action, the judiciary has the right to consider the action and see if it is within the powers as accorded by the law for this arm of government to carry out this particular function. If it is not appropriate, if the law does not grant such power to that arm of government, be it the executive or the legislature, the court will render such action null and void. But that is where it is brought before the court of law. Otherwise, they will not stand and take an action. And that is why people can sue, individual organizations can sue the government to court for the court to interpret whether that arm of government has been given such power to carry out such function. They also redress injustice meted to individuals in the state. When your right is being violated, when you feel there is injustice meted out to you, go to the judiciary, the court. It is the court that will redress that injustice. It is the court that will see to your compensation for the injustice meted out to you. Now, let's look at the concept of independence of the judiciary. We emphasize this because the judiciary is responsible for protection of our rights and a check on the other arms of government. Now, the concept means that the judiciary should be free, or a situation where the judiciary is free from interference, intimidation of any other arm of government, mostly the executive and other political office holders, including powerful individuals or personnel, to enable them freely discharge justice without fear or favor. So a situation where there is no form of interference, no form of influence from any other body on the judiciary in carrying out its duty. The reason for this is that the judiciary is responsible for protection of human rights. The judiciary is responsible for arbitration in electoral disputes. The judiciary also mediates, whenever there is conflict between individual and the government, and this is to enable them discharge justice without fear or favor. Now, let's look at factors that can limit or that have encroached upon the independence of the judiciary. Number one is the appointment of judges. Now, the appointment of judges is done by the executive arm of government, especially the chief executive. He appoints the judges and the head of the judiciary, the chief justice. Now, he appoints, and the appointment is approved by the legislative arm of government. And of course, at times these judges or the chief justice can compromise or be loyal to the person that appointed him in power. So that appointment makes the judiciary not to be totally independent. Also, military decrees and rule affect the judiciary. When the military is in power, we are talking about an autocratic system of government. The military can set up tribunals to administer cases for them if they need it, without going through the formal judicial process. The military at times can intimidate the judiciary to render justice to their own favor. Also, we have problem of political interference from the ruling parties that will not give the judiciary free hand to run their duties. Example, if you come to our country, Nigeria, there has been this controversy about control or the autonomy of the judiciary, financial autonomy of the judiciary. Now you see that the state government, they don't want the judiciary to have full financial autonomy. They want to control the finance of the judiciary so that the judiciary will always be loyal to the state government, especially the chief executive of the state. But in the normal thing, the judiciary, the fund of the judiciary should be independent. It shouldn't be controlled by other arms of government. So there is this political interference that affect the actions or the powers of the judiciary. Also, existence of special tribunals. When you have special tribunals that are set up to carry out judicial functions that are not really judicial bodies. When you have such, it can affect the independence of the judiciary because this body can now begin to perform the actions of the judiciary. Then, poor remuneration of judges. That is why you see some judges, some can collect bribes to give justice in a particular direction. So, when there is poor remuneration of judges, people can actually give financial inducement and actually affect the judgment of the court. Also, when there is bribery and corruption on the part of the judiciary, when they take bribe from powerful people, of course, you can't expect them to be impartial in their judgments. Also, the tendency of some judges to be partial, maybe because of political affiliation, because they were appointed into power by a particular political executive, or one reason or the other, the tendency to be partial because they have taken bribe or they are not people of integrity can affect their independence. And when you see that the judiciary in this situation will not disperse justice without fear or favor. Also, the control of fund of the judiciary by the executive, which I've mentioned, is another factor that affects the judiciary. At times, the executive will owe them salary. It affects them. So they will be on the mercy. They will be at mercy of the executive arm of government, who can at times not pay them salary, who can at times not give them their due packages and allowances. So these are factors that affect the independence of the judiciary. Now let's look at how we can promote the independence of the judiciary, or how we can maintain the independence of the judiciary. Number one, there should be secured tenure of office of the judges, meaning they shouldn't be removed at will. The Chief Justice should have tenure of office by 5 years, and during that period cannot be removed except there is an established ground of gross misconduct, violation of the rules guiding their operations, and other ones. So there should be security of tenure. They shouldn't be removed that way. Then there should be proper remuneration. They should be well paid. It shouldn't be a situation where they are paid what they can barely manage. So if they are well paid, it will reduce the case of bribery and corruption. Also, they should be paid from what we call consolidated revenue fund. This is an independent revenue fund set aside by the government that other arms of government are not in control of them. So if you pay the judiciary, or if their funding is coming from the consolidated revenue fund, which is an independent fund, it will affect their independence, it will promote their independence, and they will not depend on the other arm of government for their funding. Then their appointment of judges must follow due process. it shouldn't be at discretion of the chief executive officer that appoints them. Rather, due process of the judicial body, like Judicial Service Commission, should be able to know the person that is due to be the Chief Justice of a country. Now, they can give advice. The appointment should be based on advice of the judicial body, so that the executive arm of government or the chief executive does not make the appointment arbitrarily. Then judges must be non-partisan, that they should be politically neutral. When we say non-partisan or politically neutral, they should not support or be a card-carrying member of any political party. They should be free from partisan politics. They shouldn't join. Any member of the judiciary, which is also part of their rule of engagement, any member of the judiciary that wants to join politics must resign. So no judge should be seen to be a member of the judiciary, so that they can be impartial. Then, extra security should be provided for judges. Of course, people can go as far as threatening them when they see that the judgment or the judgment that will come will not be to their favor. They can threaten the lives of the judiciary, the members of the judiciary, to give them the justice, the kind of ruling they like. So there should be extra security given to them to protect them from these threats from people. Then judges should be composed of people of integrity. It should be people that have integrity, people that have upright life. It shouldn't be anyhow person, people that can be trusted, because their work requires trust and integrity, so that we can have this independence of the judiciary. Okay, now let's look at practice. Let's take a practice on ExamGuide, SSCE. Now, the topic has been highlighted, the subject has been highlighted, which is government. Then I'll select the year. I select at random. Then topic of interest. Because what we did is under the arms of government, we click arms of government. So you can see you can select any topic and work on it. Now we click OK. Now get started. Now let's look at questions. We are going to select questions based on what we've done. This is about delegated legislature. We did just the judiciary. We are looking for now, which of the following measures will ensure the independence of the judiciary? The last thing we did, 1, judge must be controlled by the president. No, of course, that one we removed independence. Salaries must be fixed and not subject to arbitrary review. Let's look at this one. Must be separate from the executive. Salaries must be handled by foreign banks. No, we are talking about a sovereign state. And when we say salaries must be fixed and not subject to arbitrary review, no, they must not be separated from the executive. Of course, we need them to be separated from the executive. Then their salaries need to be fixed and should not be subject to arbitrary review by any other body. So this is the answer. This will promote their independence. Then let's look at another question. The judicial arm of government is the body which A, interprets law. We say that this is the organ that interprets law. That's their primary function. Now, the highest court of appeal under the Independence Constitution of West Africa was, when we do the Independence Constitution, you see that the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. Let's look at one other question. Now, the verdict of judges which are binding in lower courts are called, is it orders? Is it oaths? Is it counsel? Is it precedent? This is what we call precedents. The lower courts are expected to follow the verdicts, that the rulings of a higher court when a similar case is brought before them. Now, judicial review is a mechanism for checking, is it A, irresponsible journalism? It has nothing to do with journalism. Is it about electoral malpractices? No. Is it about military adventures? No, they can't stop military from intervening. But it's about arbitrary use of power by the executive and the legislature. Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using the ExamGuide app. The app scores and gives a detailed explanation of all questions at the end of your practice tests. You can learn a particular topic of interest with different modes like study mode, mark mode, and the practice mode. It also has other features that make learning fun. It is a must for all serious students. Download from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and share the videos to people that benefit from it. Bye.